So today we're going to tackle a question that we get almost every single day. And that is there a housing bubble or are we going to be into for a wave of foreclosures? And if you listen to the media, that sure is what you're hearing, but that's not the case at all. So what the media is really trying to portray is some narrative to where uh, the housing sales aren't as strong as they were last year or the year before, and that's simply because there's not enough inventory. There's about 10 times too much demand, and that's just a ballpark. Every listing that's on the market has anywhere from 10 to 20 offers on it. So there's definitely buyers out there, and there's pre-qualified buyers. So the demand isn't the issue. At this point, it really is just the inventory. So going back to the inventory, people always say that, and really, what does it mean? It means that there's just not enough houses on the market. And the question is why? The why is a couple things. One is the birth rates back in 1988 to 1995. There was just a huge bubble of births. So all those, let's call them kids, are now adults, and they're in that home buying range. And there's just not enough homes for them. And there's a couple of reasons why. One is 2006 to 2000, let's call it 15, 16, home builders stopped building for a number of reasons. One is the demand wasn't there. Interest rates weren't, very attractive at that time. And just people didn't have a lot of faith in the market. So there was one other big reason, and that was that the home builders were in bankruptcy still. So they just weren't able to build. They estimate about 5.5 million homes weren't built. So that's one big reason why the housing shortages is as severe as it is. Another reason is that birth rate. So there's 12 million formations of households that have been formed over the last 7 years. And those, let's call them kids again, from 25 until 32, they just don't have anywhere to purchase. So that's a lot. So right there's about 17 million combined. So when you take that into account, and then you take, I guess, the X factor like me, the old Generation Xer, where we haven't moved in 27 years. So I'm probably a really big part of that problem. So having said all of that, is there a housing shortage? Is there a housing crisis? Is it, are we in a bubble? We're certainly not in a bubble, because for every offer that's out there on a property, there's 10 backups, maybe 20 backups, like I had mentioned. And when you have that type of demand, there's not going to be a issue with supply being oversupplied for a very long time. Let me just go through a couple of slides here. So the Case-Shiller, they're kind of the gold standard for all of housing, and they're going with the appreciation rate here. And this is just this isn't from 2015 or 14. This is just from this year. So going back to June 2020 up until now, or I'm sorry, up until May, appreciation was up 16.6%. Our end of the year appreciation just came in at 19.1. So we're 19.1% better. So if you listen to the media last year and they said, don't buy, now might be a good time to take a look, relook at the housing market, because it's going to continue to go up, and that the demand will continue to be there. A couple of things that I know that a lot of my clients have asked us about is, what if people start defaulting on mortgages? Is there going to be a wave of foreclosures? And the answer to that is no. People, even if they default, 93% of America has 20% equity position in their property. So even if they were in serious dire straits, lost both jobs, and just can't get out of this mess due to COVID or whatever it is, they still have 20% equity. They could still sell their house and make money. So, and they would probably have 10 to 15 backup offers and, bids over asking. So that's not going to be an issue for a very long time. That, although the housing market isn't going to appreciate like this 19.1% this year, and it shouldn't. That's not healthy. If it did that again, that would be probably a very unhealthy market. But we're expecting anywhere from 5 to 7% this next year, and most analysts are predicting 9%. So 9% is a little bit more healthy. 5 to 7%, great. So if you hear the media say, hey, housing is starting to taper off, it's only because those numbers were so inflated this year that it has nowhere to go except for flat or potentially, up just a little bit. So the main thing that we hear on the media or from the media is the affordability factor. And although house prices are up 41% of the peak or from the peak of 2006, there's a lot to be said inside of that. So you can peel the onion back a little bit and see that rates were over 6% over here in 2006. And you go now and rates are under 3%. A couple of other things that factor into that. Incomes are up 55% from 2006. The average earnings were $20 per hour, and that could have been combined income. Today's average earnings are $31 per hour. So that's one main thing that's very different right now. The other thing that most people don't know necessarily from 2004 till 2007, there were a lot of stated income loans. And that just meant that people can buy property with very little money or no money out of their pocket, have bad credit, and still get a mortgage. So those people basically just walked away from their property. They had no skin in the game. Right now, they say 50% of property owners have nearly 50% equity in their property. So that's very strong. So let's dive into this a little deeper. So home prices, although there's been a 41% appreciation since 2006, and that was a peak back then. And then we hit that valley back in, let's say 07 through 2012. We were in a pretty big trough for quite a while. So 2006 home price was $300,000. 2021, we're at $423,000. The interest rate makes a big difference. So you're at 6%. And 2021, let's just call it 3%, but there's still rates in the high twos. So the monthly payment back in 2006 was roughly $1,800 a month. 2021, it's actually gone down. So this affordability factor thing that the media keeps bringing up isn't real because the incomes have gone up so substantially. So household income, let's just call it $6,000 per month in 2006, and 2021 we're at $9,300 per month, and these are households that can afford to buy a property. The mortgage income calculation. So we have a debt to income ratio, and this is the front end, meaning 30% in 2006, 30% of the paycheck was going towards the mortgage. In 2021, 19%. So we're actually 11% better. But if you listen to the negative news, they continuously say that housing is getting worse and it's slowing down and you should really be careful. Susie Orman said that back in 2014, and she might be eating her words now because houses have gone up about 55% since 2014. So if you bought in 14, you're in a pretty good spot. So with that, if there is any I guess weakness in the housing market right now is just the fact that there's not enough houses on the market, and we're going to continue with these bidding wars until people start moving or there's enough houses on the market for people to purchase, and it will continue to push the prices up.